The alarm screamed through the steel corridors of the human warship Aquila. Red lights flashed against the metal walls. The sound was like a heart that refused to stop beating. Smoke hung in the air. Soldiers ran past each other, their boots hitting the floor in rhythm. This was the night humanity would either break or rise. Lieutenant Kara Imani ran through the corridor, holding her side where blood slowly spread through her uniform. She did not slow down. The pain was nothing compared to the weight on her shoulders. The Aquila was the last defense line between the alien fleet and Earth itself. The enemy was not just any alien race. They were the Vraks, tall, dark, and ruthless. For decades, they had conquered every world they touched. Their ships floated like silent giants, eating everything in their path. Many races had fallen before them. But humanity was different. Humanity was stubborn. Humanity always found a way to fight back. Kara reached the door to the containment room. 2 Marines stood guard. One of them, a tall man with tired eyes, saluted her. "Ma'am, the prisoner's inside," he said. Kara nodded. "Open it." Inside the room, chained to the wall, sat a Vrax officer. His black armor was cracked, his breathing uneven. His 4 dark eyes watched her closely. The nameplate on the prisoner's chest read, Zorath Vek. He was no ordinary soldier. He was one of their strategists, a living weapon. He had information the humans desperately needed, the coordinates of the Star Killer. The Star Killer was not just a bomb. It was a machine built to burn entire solar systems. If they didn't stop it, Earth would be next. Kara stepped closer. Her boots made soft sounds against the steel floor. "We don't have much time," she said calmly. "Tell me where the weapon is." The alien tilted his head. "Human." His voice was deep and cold, but there was something broken in it too. "You will die before the sun rises." She didn't blink. "Maybe. But if we die, we'll make sure your kind remembers it for 1,000 years. He stared at her for a long moment. She could feel the hatred in his eyes. But beneath it, there was also something else. Fear. Kara crouched so she was at his level. "You can stop this," she whispered. "You don't have to be their weapon." For the first time, the alien's voice softened. "Please and stop," he whispered so quietly she almost didn't hear. Kara's eyes narrowed. This wasn't a threat. It was a plea. She saw it then, the trembling in his hands, the small twitch in his jaw. This war was breaking more than just humans. It was breaking them too. "What did they make you do?" she asked gently. Zorath closed his eyes. "I built the Star Killer. I was forced. My people obey or they burn. You cannot win." Kara straightened her back. "That's what everyone says before humans do the impossible." The alien opened his eyes. "Impossible?" "Yes," she said. "We don't stop when we're afraid. We stop when the job is done." A small silence filled the room. Outside, the sounds of battle grew louder. The ship shook. Somewhere deep in space, a massive weapon was preparing to fire. Time was running out. Kara pressed her hand against the communicator on her wrist. "Command, I've made contact. There's a way in, but I'll need a team." The voice on the other end was full of static. "We're almost out of fighters. The fleet is barely holding. Then send me whoever's left." She turned back to the alien. "Zorath, you can give me the coordinates. Help me stop this. Help me save everyone." His 4 eyes stared at the floor. His claws tapped the metal slowly. "Why would I help humans?" he asked finally. Kara leaned closer. "Because I see something in your eyes. You're tired of being their weapon, tired of following orders that kill the innocent. This is your chance." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he whispered a string of numbers, no coordinates. Kara memorized every one of them. She didn't smile. There was no time for that. She stood. "We're going to end this." Zorath's voice was weak. "You cannot win, human." She looked back. "We already have. You just don't see it yet." The command deck of the Aquila was chaos. Sparks flew from broken screens. The captain barked orders while ships exploded outside the viewing window. The enemy fleet was massive, stretching across the darkness like a black ocean. "Lieutenant Imani on deck," someone shouted. Captain Reyes turned to her. His face was hard, but there was pride in his eyes. "Tell me you have good news." "I have coordinates to the Star Killer," Kara said. "We can hit it from the inside." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Inside?" "It's the only way," she said. "We send a small team. Slip through their defense. If we destroy the core, the weapon goes down. Suicide mission." She nodded. "Yes," he studied her face. "You really believe we can do this?" Kara didn't hesitate. I don't believe. I know. A few minutes later, in the launch bay, a small strike team gathered around a black shuttle. There were 5 of them: Kara, Sergeant Malik, pilot Arya, engineer Zane, and the alien, Zorath, still chained but ready to guide them through enemy defenses. Malik stared at the alien. "We're trusting him." Kara looked straight at him. "We're trusting hope." The engines roared to life. The shuttle launched into the black sea of stars, weaving between human ships and alien fire. Explosions lit up the void like dying suns. Kara watched them from the window. Every flash was a reminder of what they were fighting for. On the way to the Star Killer, silence filled the cabin. Malik checked his rifle again and again. Arya kept her eyes on the radar. Zane whispered prayers under his breath. And Zorath sat with his head low, chains rattling with every movement. Kara sat across from him. "You can still change everything," she said. He didn't look up. "You do not understand. The Vrak's empire is endless. 1 weapon destroyed means nothing. Then we'll destroy 10, she said. 100. We don't stop." Finally, his dark eyes lifted. "Why? Why fight when defeat is certain?" "Because," she said quietly, "humans don't fight because we think we'll win. We fight because no one else will." Something flickered in his eyes then. Not faith, not yet, but maybe the beginning of it. The Star Killer was a massive black station floating in the void, its surface glowing with red energy veins. It looked alive, like a beating heart of a monster. Dozens of alien ships swarmed around it like insects protecting their queen. "Stealth mode engaged," Arya said. "If they scan us too deep, we're done." "Get us in close," Kara ordered. The shuttle slipped through the outer layer, sliding into the shadow of the weapon. Kara's hands were steady. Her heartbeat wasn't. Zorath pointed at the screen. "There, a maintenance vent. It leads to the core." "Perfect," she said. "Arya, hold the ship steady." "Malik, Zane with me." They slipped out of the shuttle in black armor, moving through the silent tunnel. Every step echoed like a drumbeat. They reached the inner corridor. It was glowing red, hot from the energy flowing through the weapon. The air smelled like burning metal. "This is it," Zane whispered. "No talking," Kara said softly. "Just breathe." Zorath walked slowly ahead, chains scraping the floor. He knew the way better than anyone. As they moved deeper inside, they found the core chamber. It was enormous, a red sphere of light pulsing with power surrounded by spinning rings of black metal. One wrong move and they'd be vaporized. Zane set the explosives. Malik watched the door. Kara stepped closer to Zorath. "This is your moment," she whispered. "Decide who you are." The alien looked at the core, then at her. "I am tired," he said. "Tired of war." He placed his claw on the control panel. The defenses around the core flickered. "I will help you." Kara nodded once. "Then let's end this." Suddenly alarms rang again. Guards were coming. Heavy footsteps echoed through the hall. Malik raised his rifle. "We've got company." Kara didn't flinch. "Then we fight." The red warning lights inside the Star Killer pulsed like the heartbeat of a giant monster. The ground trembled beneath their boots. Kara Imani could feel the heat rising from the energy core. It was like standing next to a star trapped inside steel. Malik aimed his rifle toward the corridor. "They're coming fast," he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes weren't. He'd been in battles before. But this was different. This was the belly of the beast. Zorath, the alien prisoner, pressed his claw against the control panel. "If I override this system," he said slowly, "I can open the inner core, but it will alert the entire station." "It's already alert," Kara answered. She held her pulse rifle tight against her chest. "Do it." The alien closed his 4 eyes for a second, then tapped the glowing symbols on the panel. Alarms screamed louder. The metal doors around them shook as locks released. The red sphere of energy at the center began to rotate faster. "Explosives are armed," Zane called from the other side. He wiped sweat from his forehead. "Timer set for 15 minutes. Once this thing goes off, it's over." Kara nodded. "Then let's make those minutes count." The first wave of Vrak soldiers stormed into the corridor, tall, armored, moving like shadows with glowing red blades. Malik and Kara fired first. Blue energy bolts cut through the dark hallway. The sound was sharp and hot. Sparks flew when the shots hit the walls. "Hold the line," Malik shouted. Kara moved forward 2 steps. Her shots were clean, precise. She didn't waste bullets. She didn't have any to waste. Arya's voice crackled in her earpiece from the shuttle. They're launching fighters. If you don't hurry, they'll seal this whole place. Keep that ship ready, Kara said between breaths. We're coming out alive. I hope so, Arya replied. Because they're bringing friends. The enemy soldiers tried to push closer, but the humans were fast. Malik threw a flash grenade. A burst of white light filled the corridor. The Vraks staggered back, covering their eyes. Zane shouted, 2 more minutes to finish the link. As he connected the last wires to the detonator, Kara turned to Zorath. You said you could bypass their shields. The alien tapped the panel again. I can, but... He hesitated. If I do this, the station will melt down faster. It will kill every living thing inside. Kara looked straight at him. Including us? He nodded slowly. She didn't blink. Then do it. Earth is worth it. For a second, the alien stared at her like he couldn't understand humans at all. Then he lowered his head and pressed the final symbol. The red lights on the walls changed to a deep orange. A low rumbling filled the chamber. Malik cursed under his breath. We just turned this place into a bomb. Kara smirked without humor. Good. The second wave of Vrak soldiers charged in. More this time, moving faster. The hallway exploded with sound and light as both sides fired. One alien managed to get close. Kara blocked his blade with the barrel of her rifle, twisted, and smashed her elbow into his faceplate. The alien fell back with a roar. Zane ducked as a plasma bolt flew over his head. I'm an engineer, not a soldier, he shouted. You're both today, Malik yelled back. The walls shook again. A piece of metal fell from the ceiling. Kara didn't look up. She couldn't afford to. 5 minutes, Zane said, breathing fast. Once the countdown reaches 0, we need to be at least 10 clicks away. Then we better run fast, Kara replied. Outside the station, the battle was growing worse. The human fleet was being pushed back by the enemy. The Aquila was taking heavy fire. Captain Reyes stood on the bridge, sweat on his forehead, shouting commands. Tell all ships to form a wall around the planet, Reyes ordered. They can't break through. A young officer turned. Sir, we're losing the Dauntless. Reyes closed his fist. Then make them remember how humans fight. A burst of light filled the screen as the Dauntless rammed one of the alien cruisers. The explosion lit up the darkness like a new star. Dozens of human and alien ships burned in the cold void. The war was reaching its peak. Inside the Star Killer, Kara's team was being pushed back. They retreated step by step toward the core chamber. The alien soldiers were many. Too many. Malik's rifle clicked empty. He grabbed his knife and kept fighting. I'm out. Kara threw him her backup clip. Use it wisely. She covered him with rapid fire, hitting 2 Vraks in the chest. Their armor cracked like glass. They fell without sound. Zorath suddenly roared. Not a scream of pain, but anger. He stepped in front of Kara, his chains dragging behind him, and slammed his claw against the wall control. A steel door dropped down between the humans and the advancing aliens, blocking them off for a moment. Malik stared. Why did he just help us? Kara's breathing was rough, but her voice was calm. Because he's tired of being a weapon. The alien turned to her. You are... strange, he said slowly. She smiled just a little. We get that a lot. 3 minutes, Zane yelled. Everything's ready. Kara raised her hand. Move out, back to the shuttle. The team ran through the maintenance vent they had entered from. The ground was shaking harder now. Red energy crackled through the walls like lightning. The whole station was groaning, alive and dying at the same time. They ran fast, but the enemy was faster. The Vraks were chasing them through side tunnels. Blaster fire echoed behind them. Sparks hit the walls near Kara's head. Keep moving, she shouted. Don't look back. Malik turned around just long enough to throw a grenade into the corridor. The explosion was so loud it felt like thunder in the bones. The tunnel collapsed behind them, blocking the aliens for a few seconds. When they finally reached the shuttle, Arya was already in the pilot seat, engines burning bright. About time, she shouted. They've got ships all over us. Go, Kara ordered as soon as they were inside. The shuttle lifted off fast. Outside, the Vrax fighters were waiting like vultures. Arya spun the ship hard to the right as plasma shots streaked past the windows. Malik strapped himself in. We're not gonna make it. Yes, we are, Kara said. Confidence won't make the ship faster, Arya snapped. Kara grinned. It does when I'm on board. The chase through the enemy fleet was brutal. The shuttle dove between massive warships, engines screaming, shields flickering. Arya flew like a storm, fast, smooth, wild. Hold tight, she yelled. A plasma bolt hit their left wing. The ship shook. Malik grabbed his seat tight. Zane closed his eyes and prayed again. Kara watched the countdown on her wrist screen. 001, 20. 1 minute, she shouted. Faster. Arya pushed the engines to their limit. The stars blurred. The black space was filled with fire and light. Fighters followed close behind. Suddenly, Zorath stood up. He pulled the chains from his wrists. I can block their signal, he said. Kara turned to him. You sure? He nodded slowly. It is time to choose a side. He pressed his claws against the shuttle's control panel and spoke in his language, deep and sharp like cracking stone. Outside, several enemy fighters suddenly turned off course. Their targeting systems went dark. Arya laughed. Nice work, big guy. 30 seconds, Kara whispered. She stared out the window at the giant station behind them. It looked even larger now, its red glow growing brighter and brighter. Come on, she said softly. Blow up. The shuttle shot past the last line of enemy ships. The Aquila appeared in the distance, surrounded by the few remaining human vessels. Captain Reyes, Kara said over comms. We're clear. Fireworks in 10 seconds. Reyes' voice came back strong. Bring them home, Lieutenant. Inside the Starkiller, the orange lights reached a blinding white. The rings around the core spun so fast they blurred into light. Then everything stopped. For one breath. Then the station exploded. The blast was massive. A burning wave spread through space like a rising sun. It swallowed enemy ships near it. The shock wave hit the shuttle hard. The alarms screamed. But the ship held together. Arya clenched the controls. Hold on! The shuttle tumbled for a moment, then stabilized. Behind them, the Starkiller was nothing but a storm of fire and metal drifting through space. Zane let out a breath he'd been holding for too long. We did it. Malik leaned his head back against the seat. We're alive, I can't believe it. Kara didn't speak. She watched the fire burn in the distance. One of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy was gone, and humanity had done it with a handful of people and a lot of courage. When they landed on the Aquila, soldiers cheered. The deck shook with the sound of hundreds of boots and hands hitting metal. Captain Reyes stood waiting. He didn't say anything at first, just saluted. Kara returned the salute. Her uniform was burned and torn, but her eyes were bright. Reyes stepped closer. You just made history, Lieutenant. She shook her head. We did. Malik clapped her on the back. Arya hugged Zane. Even Zorath stood tall, his eyes shining with something new, something that almost looked like pride. Reyes looked at the alien. He helped you? Kara nodded. Yeah. He's one of us now. The captain raised his brow but said nothing more. Sometimes victory needed no long speeches. Outside the window, the enemy fleet was broken. Many ships fled. Others drifted with no command. Humanity had done the impossible again, not with numbers, not with power, but with sheer will. Kara stood by the glass and watched the stars. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just breathed. Because the war wasn't over. Not yet, but this was the moment everything changed, she whispered softly to herself. We're not done. The stars outside the warship Aquila looked different now. They were the same cold lights in the black sky, but after the fall of the Starkiller, they seemed brighter, like silent witnesses to something big. Kara Imani stood on the observation deck. She had changed her uniform, but her hands were still bruised, her body still aching. The battle was over. The galaxy had felt humanity's roar. Behind her, Captain Reyes walked in quietly. "You should be resting," he said. Kara didn't turn around. "Can't sleep." "Too quiet." He stopped next to her. Outside, pieces of broken enemy ships floated like dust in the night. "We've sent signals to every colony. News of the explosion is already spreading. You know what this means, right?" Kara nodded slowly. "The galaxy finally saw us." Reyes smiled a tired smile. "Yes, and they won't forget." In the hangar, the crew celebrated. Not like they were at a party, but with relief, with life. Soldiers sat on crates, eating and talking softly. Engineers patched holes in the walls. Pilots leaned back, laughing at nothing. Malik was there, arm wrapped in a bandage, telling the same story over and over. "And then boom," he said, throwing up his hand like an explosion. "The whole station lit up like a fireworks show." Zane laughed. "I still can't believe we made it out alive." Arya, still wearing her flight suit, shook her head. "We didn't make it out because we were lucky," she said. "We made it because Kara doesn't know how to give up." Malik nodded. "Yeah, that's the human way." Then they turned to Zorath. The alien was sitting alone at the edge of the hangar, watching them. His 4 black eyes blinked slowly. He was no longer wearing chains. Malik walked over to him. "Hey, big guy," he said casually. "You helped blow up the biggest weapon in the galaxy. You don't have to sit in the corner like a statue." Zorath tilted his head. "I have fought for many years," he said quietly. "But this is the first time I feel free." Malik gave a half grin. "Freedom's a good feeling. You'll get used to it." Meanwhile, in the far reaches of the galaxy, news of the Starkiller's destruction was already shaking entire empires. On the cold capital world of the Vrax, generals gathered in a dark war room. A massive hologram of the destroyed weapon flickered in the air. Silence filled the room. "They did this," one of the generals growled. "Humans," another slammed his fist on the table. "One of our greatest weapons. Gone. A single strike team. 5 humans. 1 traitor. This is not war. This is humiliation." But the oldest among them, an ancient strategist with silver scars, spoke softly. "No, this is warning. The humans are not like the others we conquered. They do not bend. They break steel with willpower." The room grew quiet again. Fear, cold and heavy, crept into their voices. Back on the Aquila, the captain called a meeting in the briefing room. Officers filled the seats, tired but alert. Kara, Malik, Arya, Zane, and Zorath stood at the front. Reyes cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," and Zorath, he added with a small nod toward the alien, "our fleet took heavy damage. Many of our ships are gone, but the Starkiller is no more." Soft cheers rose in the room. "But," Reyes continued, his voice serious, "the Vrax Empire is still out there, and now they are angry. We've proven we can hurt them. That means they will come with everything they have." Kara stepped forward. "Then we'll be ready." Zane raised an eyebrow. "Ready? You mean we'll build another starship out of scrap?" Malik grinned. "That's kind of our thing." Arya crossed her arms. "They'll underestimate us again. They always do." Reyes pointed to Zorath. "Not this time. Thanks to him, we know more about their systems than ever before, and we have allies listening." "Who?" Malik asked. Reyes pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared, showing dozens of small planets scattered through the stars. Other races. Species the Vrax have conquered or threatened. They saw what happened. They're reaching out. Humanity lit a fire. Kara's heartbeat quickened. For years, humans had been fighting alone. But now others were watching. Others were beginning to believe. Later that night, Kara sat in the empty observation deck again. She liked the quiet here. She liked the stars. Footsteps echoed softly behind her. Zorath joined her, his heavy frame moving slowly. "You do not sleep either," he said. She shook her head. "Too much noise in my head." The alien tilted his head, curious. "Noise?" "Memories," Kara explained. "The faces of everyone we lost. The ones we saved, the fire, the silence after." He nodded slowly. "In my culture, we say the stars remember everything. When a warrior falls, his light becomes part of the sky." She looked at him. "That's beautiful." "It is also a warning," Zorath said softly. "Every star is a story. And your story is spreading." Kara looked out again. The stars didn't look cold anymore. They looked alive. 2 days later, the Aquila jumped into orbit above a small neutral moon. It was not a human base. It was a meeting place. Kara walked down the ramp, followed by Malik, Arya, Zane, and Zorath. Dozens of alien ships were already there, some small and fragile, others large and armored. Representatives of different species stood in a circle around a silver platform. They stared at Kara as she approached. Whispers rose among them. "That's her," someone said in a clicking voice. "The human who destroyed the Star Killer." She made the impossible real. Reyes joined them on the platform. "They want to hear from you," he said quietly to Kara. "Me?" she asked. "You were there," he replied. "They don't need a speech from a captain. They need a story from a fighter." Kara stepped forward. Dozens of eyes from dozens of worlds looked at her. She took a deep breath. She didn't like speeches. She liked action. But the galaxy needed words now. "We were supposed to die," she began simply. "That's what everyone thought. That's what they thought. The Vrax built something meant to end us, but it didn't, because humans don't stop. Not when we're afraid. Not when we're outnumbered. Not even when everything burns." She looked at them one by one. "We fight. We bleed, we fall, but we get back up. We did not destroy the Star Killer because we were stronger. We destroyed it because we were willing to stand when no one else would." Silence followed her words. A deep, powerful silence. Then one alien, small with bright silver eyes, stepped forward. "If humans can stand," it said softly, "then maybe we can too." Another voice followed. "The Vrax took our worlds, but they cannot take our will." And another, "We will fight with you." Soon the silence broke into a wave of voices. Different tongues, different faces, but the same fire. On the Aquila, days turned into weeks. The human fleet grew not in ships, but in hope. Messages arrived from far colonies, rebel groups, and species that had long been silent. Humanity was no longer alone. Zane worked night after night in the hangars building new upgrades. Arya trained new pilots. Malik taught alien soldiers how humans fought in close combat. Zorath stood beside them, not as a prisoner, but as a leader. Reyes watched it all with quiet pride. "They thought we were weak," he said one evening to Kara. "They were wrong." She smiled faintly. "They always are." Meanwhile, far away, the Vrax Empire prepared for war. But something had changed. Their soldiers spoke in hushed tones. Their leaders watched the stars nervously. Fear of humanity spread like a shadow. Because if 5 humans could bring down their strongest weapon, what could thousands do? They had expected humans to bow. Instead, humanity had made the stars tremble. On the night before the new campaign, Kara walked through the silent corridors of the Aquila. She passed soldiers sleeping against the walls, engineers curled up on toolboxes, pilots resting on the deck. None of them had lost their fire. She stepped into the hangar. The new fleet was ready. Sleek black shuttles, repaired cruisers, even alien ships now fighting for humanity. Malik stood on a ladder, painting a bright white line on the side of the lead shuttle. "What are you doing?" Kara asked. "Marking history," Malik said. "Every ship that flies tomorrow carries the memory of the Star Killer." Zane walked past, carrying wires over his shoulder. "And hopefully won't blow up this time." Arya laughed softly. "No promises." Kara walked toward the center of the hangar. Zorath was there, standing tall, staring at the fleet. His 4 eyes glowed faintly in the light. "You ready?" Kara asked. He nodded. "I was born to fight, but this is the first time I choose my own battle." She placed a hand on his armored arm. "Then let's make it count." As the new dawn came over the stars, ships rose from the hangars like arrows shot into the void. The human fleet, now joined by dozens of alien allies, formed a massive formation around the Aquila. On the bridge, Kara took her seat next to Captain Reyes. Malik and Arya were already at their stations. Zane checked the power grid. Zorath stood behind them, silent but ready. Reyes looked at them. "They wanted to erase us," he said softly. "But we will write our name into the stars." Kara's eyes burned with determination. "Let's finish what we started." The engines roared. The stars stretched as they jumped into hyperspace, heading straight for the heart of the Vrax Empire. The galaxy had changed forever. A whisper had turned into a war cry, and this time humanity was not alone.